to that issue, whether the president it could be the one getting in the way of his own tax reform goal. Former Bush 43 Deputy Assistant Brad Blakeman, Democratic strategist Jehmu Greene. Brad, my view on this, and not that it matters in this argument, is that the president hurts his cause when he steps on it, when he gets into a fight with a Republican senator. He doesn't need that right now.
He certainly does not. And this shouldn't be about personality. This has to be about policy, and it's good policy. Look at what markets are doing, Neil, just on the anticipation of bringing real and meaningful tax reform both to individuals and to corporations. It's going to unleash the power of the individual in our country. It's not how good Wall Street is doing, which is doing great. It's how good Main Street's going to do. And I believe that Senator Corker and other Republicans who may disagree with the president's personality are going to join the president on policy because it just makes sense, not only for their home states, but for the country.
Jehmu, what is the read that Democrats have on this? Now, a lot of them were embracing some of the ideas of tax reform, or at least tax cuts. It's not so much reform as it is tax cuts. And they were open to the corporate tax cuts, maybe not to the degree the president wants to cut them. But can you envision Democratic votes for this thing?
I think that he probably will be able to get some Democratic votes for it, because that's what we should be doing as political leaders. But really, to your original question, Neil, I think the president is really stepping on his message. It's one of the reasons why he hasn't been able to have any significant legislative accomplishments. And perhaps I'm starting to think from a conspiracy theory standpoint that this actually may now become a tactic that the administration, the folks behind the scenes, Gary Cohn, the Secretary of Treasury, see President Trump being able to get all of the oxygen out of the room, distract shiny objects, and then they are secretly crafting tax plans that are basically going to benefit the Trump millionaire and billionaire cabinet.
Now
so maybe they've gotten a handle on how to use them.
Now you're being very, very jaded. But Brad, I'll go another argument there that kind of feeds off of that, and that is that the president, by doing what he's doing, might be pre-factoring in getting defeated on this and pre-blaming people for that were it to happen. What do you think?
Well, I think at the end of the day, Neil, in November of next year, Donald Trump is not on the ballot. Republicans are, the entire lower house and a third of the Senate. So it's not a very good plan. I don't believe in conspiracy theories. What I do believe in is Republicans have an opportunity now to reach across the aisle with Democrats and have real meaningful tax reform. And there is no doubt in my mind that this is going to be attractive for cooperation and compromise on the Democratic side. And they should not dig their heels in. They should reach across the aisle. And Republicans the same, because reducing our corporate burden on taxes is something that I think Republicans and Democrats agree, being the highest taxed corporate entity on the planet is not very good for growth and for continued prosperity for America. So there's a lot of room here. I believe the president's going to get it done. I happen to believe Democrats in the Senate are going to find this attractive, like Senator Manchin. And I am very optimistic. It would really be just
those three, right? I mean, those that didn't sign on to the original Democratic letter put out by Chuck Schumer and, some 45 Democrats. That not one penny go to the wealthy. So, Jehmu, let me ask you about those three, including Manchin, Heitkamp in North Dakota, Donnelly in Indiana. How likely is it that any one or all would vote for this, if for no other reason than the pressure they're feeling in their own states that went overwhelmingly for Donald Trump?
Look, I don't want to be cynical, but I do think that they will probably make their decision on how it's going to affect their reelection chances versus how it's actually going to affect their constituents. And a lot of these changes, at times, the constituents don't even really understand that the plan that we've seen so far does nothing for the bottom 35%. It's unclear what it does for the middle class. It is crystal clear what it does for the wealthiest amongst us. But I have to go to you, Brad, because you're a brilliant strategist, and you know that Donald Trump is going to be on the ballot. His name's not going to be on the ballot, but his policies, his, whatever type of blustering he's going to be doing at that time, this is going to be a referendum on Donald Trump. If he's not able to get any sort of tax package through, like he wasn't able to get through with health care, what is he going to have to offer? I think Democrats do have a really good chance in 2018, and it's going to be because of Donald Trump.
Brad, what do you think of that? That it's going to be the president, success or failure, that will gauge how people vote next year?
I think, and knowing this town as well as I do, it's the law of the jungle here in Washington. It's self-preservation. Those people who are running and their names are going to be on the ballot are going to do what's in their selfish best interest in many cases. And the good news is, if they vote for health care, it not only will be selfish interest, it'll be in the national interest. And it's a good thing to do, whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, to provide the kind of help the average American needs in tax reform.
All right, guys, I want to thank you both very, very much.